So what was some like for any of the sets coming out? Like, what was your biggest moment when you came to TFT? We're like, oh no, we fucked up.
The biggest one I always call back to, there's a couple, but the biggest one from the balance side, I always tell 915 Karthus. I'm like, in 914, Karthus was like, he's kind of weak. We should buff him. And I'm like, these numbers will work. And these numbers were like a 50% buff and he hit 4 more targets.
Ooh.
And it turned very quickly into, all right, first one to Karthus wins. Like, that was the 915 meta. It was like, literally, you could be running anything, and it was like, oh, Karthus, I win.
Yeah.
That really,
It was
really,
pretty
really reminded
bad.
me of Release Zeus in Auto Chess when Zeus first came
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah.
Because he was
Yep.
like, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm just gonna throw Zeus in, and his ult does not only does it do percent damage to all of the units on the board, it also does percent extra damage to the person. So like
Yep.
if you win the game, they just take half their health.
They take the double damage. Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. Oh man,
Um,
that was
yeah,
a
so
fun
that one
time.
was rough. The other one, this isn't so much an oops as a, like, didn't go hard enough. So we had a designer who made Pantheon, and from set 1. And at the time, it was tuned to a certain degree, and I'm like, "This feels a little strong." And at the last minute, one of the testers also was like, "This seems really strong." So I cut the numbers by like 30%. Like, I'm like, "Okay, let's just nerf it real bad. That way, if it gets out of control, it won't be that bad." It goes live, and it was the most overpowered insanity. And again, dominated men. I'm like, "Well, I'm glad I cut it 30%, but oops, guess I
Oh
should have
boy.
cut it more."
I think Pantheon from set 1 was an excellent example of like one of those units that has just a really cool spell
Yep.
like coming in because the sound effects mixed with the graphic effects is just a very imposing presence. It does remind me of the Kunkka boat a little bit.
Yeah, there's an important lesson with Pantheon because, like you said, like, the spell is fine. Did the spell need to do percent health damage and stun and leave the Morello burn? And by the way, he's a dragon, so he's immune to magic damage. Probably didn't need to do all that, you know.
Too many hats on the hat.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, set 1 was fun. I remember set 1.
Uh, Set 1 was a good setup. Um, one of, like, players always ask for us to bring back set 1, and there's a devilish part of me that's like, okay, I'll bring it back so you can all see how much better it's gotten. But then there's like the logical side of me that also is like, I kind of don't want to bring it back, so people will always have this good memory in their head and not
Yeah.
remember, oh right, Phantom and Hex Tech were bullshit.
we had to talk about this last episode with Ryan, and Ryan's not an engineer or anything like that, but we were talking about why League Classic couldn't be a thing, like why they can't
Oh
bring
yeah.
back Season 1 League.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he told this story about how he was talking to an engineer, and they're just like, everything would be on fire, the government would sue us, everything, it would just be awful.
It just it was one little thread. He's like, well, we'd have to do this, and then it just unraveled from there. It just
Yep.
everything's connected.
Yep.
Man, I think it's better to look back and just enjoy your time instead of like saying, okay, bring it back. We want to do this again. More fun to remember.